Alright, hello everyone, I'm Khan again, former president, former strategy work person. We're still going to be going over the micro and macro aspect of FRC, understanding decision making, understanding what the correct play is, understanding what teams are doing in response to what factors, so then you can make the correct decision yourself. We're going to be doing championships of 2022, specifically the Einstein finals. The 3 matches. I actually made a presentation for today because it's a lot easier to get my thoughts down, and then so I won't be rambling as much. Sorry for the last one, but that one got a lot of big concepts down that I wanted to get down, so it should be better this time. So we're going to be going over both alliances of 2022. We're going to be showing the macro adjustments that each team made between matches and also between the round robin. And then the part 2 of this video, or it will be a separate video, but we'll be going over the overall tournament strategies, what it meant when teams swapped, what it meant when teams selected each other, and then we're going to be explaining the 254 Champs Elim strategy package. So they set this out along with their technical binder. But it kind of goes over like what their thought process was going into elims, how they approached macro level strategies, and so that'll be good to go through, and I can kind of explain why these zones are the way they are and things like that. So yeah, just going through the alliances quickly. 1619, the alliance captain blew the Galileo field. Doesn't have a turret, but they have a swerve drive, and they have a level 4 climb. 254 has a turret, and they have a level 4 climb, right? The third pick, but their third pick and their third robot is 6672. They're an R2/R3. They have a swerve, but they don't have a turret. Their distinguishing feature from the other third robot, 3175, is that they can take further shots, but they cannot score, or they cannot store 2 balls. They can't hoard 2 balls and retract their intake, which makes their defense less effective if you want to also hoard. They have a level 4 climb, however, which is important for the round robin tiebreaker, because if you're aware of how the tiebreakers work in the round robin format and on Einstein's, endgame is your first one. And so if you can maximize your endgame points in the event that you have a tie, that's what is considered first. And then their third pick, which is also their third robot, is 3175. Again, they have a similar construction to 6672, but they can hoard 2 balls and retract their intake, which makes them a better defender if you also want to hoard. However, they can't level 4 climb, so in the tiebreaker scenario, might not be, if your endgame points aren't there, that might be a situation, right? So before you go into it, you have to understand these teams went through 6 matches, 5 matches of round robin, right? They played every other alliance, and then they're playing the finals. So and then they also played their division, playoff bracket. So they've played a bunch of matches together. So their level of play is obviously going to be higher than what you'll see with your random quals alliances, but there's still a lot you can learn from them. Red Alliance is a lot more simple. They all have a similar construction. 4-14 does have a turret though, in addition to a swerve, and they can all level 4 climb, but I don't think they did. The reason why I keep mentioning swerve/turret or swerve plus turret is okay, so when you have, hold on, okay, it should be running. Okay, cool. So the reason why I mentioned whether you have a turret when you have a swerve drive or not, is if you have 4 swerve modules, you're getting defended from this direction. Obviously, if you want to fight it, your modules have to push this way. If you want to run, you have to push this way, right? But if your goal is here, or I mean, you can run this way, but if you can't aim while moving, you have to get to a safe position and then realign so that your robot physically faces one direction or pivots to face one direction. And so that's going to be important. If you see how a lot of these teams are playing, is they can't afford to be trapped, because then you can't shoot. But either way, okay. So yeah, Einstein finals. These are just the general notes. The first one is very simple. The first match was very simple. It was very who could defend better, really. And so it came down to 44-14 being on top, 1577 being on bottom, and 4099 playing man defense on 254, and a diagonal split from the Blue Alliance where 254 is taking this section of the field. That was 254's domain, and then their alliance partners played underneath, obviously, and you'll kind of see how that turned out. So autonomous is kind of over. Barrett has a lead in autonomous, right? Pretty significant lead, actually, right? Pretty significant lead, almost 8 points. So you'll kind of see that 254 trying to get to the other side, trying to get to these balls right here. The big thing within this match, actually, I'll pause it, is some of the concepts that we went over in the last one. I realized that was long, but it has some good stuff in it, hopefully. One's map control. So that's where you can safely shoot from, right? Safely shoot. Where can you shoot where you're not going to get defended and you can kind of position yourself in line for the next ball? The other thing is ball flow or ball control. Are you keeping a healthy number of balls running, and can you safely roam around a certain area without getting impeded, right? We talked about rotation timings. So if you I think last time we had 148 and 6800 playing, they would switch sides. And why are they switching sides? On what queue are they doing it? How are they doing it, right? You'll actually see EJ, don't focus over here, but EJ, he's 254's draft coach along with Jared Russell. Those two are kind of like their two strategy guides that year. And you'll see this EJ just running around talking to all the draft coaches all the time. And you should see our draft coach doing that too. And it's a really good opportunity for other teams to get feedback, but also 254 is your best scorer, and so you want to enable them as much as possible. The other thing that you might notice here is I'll be talking about 254 a lot more, and I think it's because they play a lot more structured of a game plan. 44-14 and 1577, they play a lot looser, and it's harder to figure out what they're doing. Mostly because I think they're playing it more on the fly and kind of relying on more skill. So it's not a bad way by any means, but it's just there's less to break down. But yeah, rotation timings and then zones, right? Splitting and why you split. So we went over line of sight, things like that. So just to preface this entire series, this area and these two zones are going to become big choke points and big contenders, especially for the first two matches. And the reason is you have bad visibility, right? Even if you're here, you still have bad visibility. There's going to be other robots moving forward around here. You've got the hub, obviously. Very bad visibility in this zone in general for the Blue Alliance. And harder to navigate because you've got the trusses, right? You've got two choke points right here. and if there's a opponent robot here, maybe your defense bot is here. Now you've created a choke point, right? An artificial choke point. Maybe you're getting defended here. This is 254. You are so screwed, right? Don't have a way out. And so proactively, like, being able to recognize that and not falling into those traps is a good thing. But also, you know, seeing how they dealt with it would also be another interesting thing. So we'll continue playing. But eventually you'll see that these splits happening, you know, where blue is having a diagonal approach, red is kind of having a top-down approach. Again, it's not rigid, and also, you know, one flaw of that is now, you know, okay, so I think 4099 did a really good job of keeping 254 down, right? In your macro game, that's what you want to do, right? You want to suppress 254 because they are that world championship, you know, winning robot. But 254 keeps coming back here. Why? You know, why do they do that? Well, there's two balls here, one ball here, I think one ball here, one ball here. So this will be easier to explain once you see the 254 presentation, but 254 have a very good understanding of ball flow, right, in this game, where in an open field like this, where there's a limited number of resources, you need to have your balls constantly churning and flowing. Some of the things that could prevent that from happening are, you know, bunches like this, right? And not just bunches, but places where you're not getting these balls. They're remaining static, and so they're not, you know, in that rotation, ball rotation. Another thing is balls over here, right? So if you kind of watch this, the way 254 and 1619 split was going, I think a lot of times, well, one, they didn't see these balls, but two, they didn't know who was going to get them, right? So 1619 doesn't want to get in 254's way, and 254 probably is fine with that, but, you know, they also have their own stuff to deal with, like, you know, a defender that's just constantly, you know, on their tail. And so you're going to see some of these balls not getting moved at all, which creates pretty bad ball flow. To their credit, red does a pretty good job. You know, they have a lot looser style, and so they're just going for whatever they see first, and it's working pretty well. It also helps that 4099 is an incredible defender, and they're an incredible defender because they're using the surroundings around them. If there's ever like a defense review series, they're definitely going to be on my list of some of the best defense that I've seen against a top level team like 254. But 254 knows they can't keep these balls static, and so they try to go for a lot of those balls. Now, you know, they got free, they're starting a climb, it's endgame, right? So good speed forward. They won by literally 1 point, right? I mean, watching this, that 1 point, crazy. But it came down to penalty. Actually, I can go back to the slides. It came down to penalty and hanger. So keep that in mind. How did they lose, right? So yeah, they lost on endgame and penalties. Or sorry, these guys won on endgame penalties. These guys lost on endgame and penalties. Remember, I know they didn't get the 45, but they have that high hanger bonus, right? So yeah, the man defense on 254 was shutting down really well when they went for those high cost balls towards the hanger to hopefully churn them around, you know, get that ball flow moving. It wasn't working for 254, right? Second, they had I forgot to add this here. Oh yeah, let's say autonomous out of 254 was a catastrophic failure. So you know, their autonomous, they were like 8-10 points down out of autonomous. That's really bad. So that was another thing. They need to get out of 49-9 chokehold, right? So that was that whole hanger situation I was talking about. And then they had getting balls with the split they had. So that was like the 2 or 3 balls in the middle where you're like, why is no one getting those balls, right? I admit I was a little confused when I was looking at it. I thought that was just because of the split they had. I didn't realize that 254 was also like they couldn't realize that their ball was there. But so these are the adjustments they have to make, right? This is what they're probably talking about in the debrief. Okay, what happened, right? So general notes for the next match. Red is still going to play a looser style. They're just going to try to keep the two robots apart from each other. One of their either 44-14 or I think 44-14 because they weren't getting defended. I think he's calling which ball they're going to get next, right? Which zone they're going to get next. And my friend on 3175, he's on my M Racing team. He was 3175's driver. But he was telling me how EJ, the 254 drive coach, was always, there were two things he was always talking to the other drive coaches about, which was what they were going to do next, specifically what zone they were going to play, and then what he saw in the opponents, you know. So he was always communicating, and you'll see our drive coach do that, because I know our drive coach is going to be good enough to do that, but that's the hallmark of a good drive coach, is being able to coach your alliance and not just your team. And I know our drive coach is going to be able to do that, but it's a skill. And again, you know, as I said, if you watch the match and you just watch, you know, the line stations, that's what they're going to be doing. So yeah, 1577, you'll see it's going to scoop up the hanger balls once 254 leaves. So this is another win-win dilemma that they gave them, where 254 knows they need to kind of wrest balls out of that hanger zone, or they're just going to stay static in there. So what's 1577 going to do? If you guys leave, if 254 leaves, then we'll shoot the red balls from there. If you don't, then you know, 254 is going to be trapped, and so either way they win. And as you remembered, 6672 Blue's third robot can't hoard, and so that inherently gives red an advantage in cargo when you literally only have 11, right? And you know, I think we explained that before, there's probably 2 or 3 in rotation at any given time. Having a hoarding capability, having a hiding capability is really important. And then this is also what I mentioned before, they have 3 robots defending 2x4. So if you're in your hangar and you have those choke points, right? If you position yourself, now you bring 2 robots with you, and it's very difficult for 2x4 to do anything in that scenario. On the blue side, they're gonna have 1619 actually go to the hangar first. But because they're a robot with higher risk, because you know of that whole turret and swerve situation I was talking about, after they get those done, they're gonna get out of there, and then 254 are gonna go back in there. You'll see, right? That gamble doesn't pay off of hopefully getting the ball flow moving. 254 is gonna get stuck in there again, and it's not that. I remember being in the stands and people are like, "Oh, what are 254 doing? You know, they got trapped there last time. They can't go there again." That's not really true. I mean, they know they should have won in the end game, or like they should have won the end game part. They didn't. So I don't necessarily blame them. But it was a difficult situation for them. Right. So now they're doing pretty good at end game. They're remaining competitive. I think they're ahead in end game, or very close. Yeah, okay, so they're a lot closer now. 4 points is a lot better than 8, right? So yeah, you'll see 1619 went over that side at the beginning, but now they're getting out, and then 254 inserted themselves. Or sorry, this is 1619. 254 will insert themselves. You can see 6672 is still playing defense. 1577. I don't think they did a particularly great job. They didn't do a bad job either, but definitely 49.9's defense was very impressive on 254. Again, you want to pay attention to red lines as well. You know, they're leading in the cargo. You can see these numbers down here. They're doing an incredibly good job of of ball flow, right? Pretty much the only balls that are static are the two over here. Everything else is pretty much moving around, and you'll see 44-14 tends to take the opposite side of the field. So actually maybe they're not playing a super loose style, but either way it's a lot looser than 254 are doing. Get rid of that. So yeah, they're having a field day now, right? 254 trapped over here, great, we can get it, you know. Yeah, so I think 44-14 should have gone to that side, get those balls, but they bounced back anyways. Either way, you know, you can kind of see the concepts from the last video flowing through, right? Where are teams playing? Where are they anticipating the next balls to go? Where are they positioning themselves so that they can get the next ball most efficiently? You can see that with 44-14 actually. I don't want to turn this into a let's just watch 44-14, but they do a very good job of understanding where to go next. But we'll keep watching. It's almost the end of telly up now, right? At this point, the match is pretty close, but you kind of need something in the end game, really, or blue is just gonna straight up lose. The two ways about it. 254 just got out, you know, they're trying their best, but really, this game is over. You know, this match is over. Unless they pull out a triple climb and these guys, you know, drop or something, it's just not, you know, you're just not gonna have anything able to do. One interesting thing is 44-14 didn't try to climb. I don't think their climber was broken, but the blue lines thought they were, because they didn't climb. I think it just didn't climb because they didn't want to get in their way. They knew they were ahead, might as well just keep scoring cargo, right? But yeah, that's what my friend on 3175 told me, is they thought they were broken, so they were like, we should defend 44-14 during endgame. So yeah. Oh, we should show the match score. Okay, so you know, they got the edge in hanger, but they just lost so big on cargo. What is it, 114 minus 8, 27-point difference, like that is huge. And that's primarily down to 44-14 not being defended. They can have an entire side of the field, you know, the whole right side of the field. They were just scooping everything around. Luckily there were only, you know, 1 or 2 balls over here, so that was pretty much what was being hoarded, you know, quote unquote hoarded. Was supposed to be hoarded by the opponent lines, and so they just got a very large range, right? And when I'm explaining, like, you know, range of movement, being able to go wherever, that kind of thing, I want the people watching to take away not just, you know, the fact that they could do it, but why those conditions occurred, right? And you know, that just goes back to presence, ball control, flow theory, kind of things like that, which I explained in the last video. Okay, that's the wrong document. So finals theory, right? This is what they're talking about in the debrief, right? They're like, okay, so I didn't update this, did I? I didn't update it. I'm so sorry. But red, right? Okay, let's just do it in real time, right? So red, what did they do to win this one, right? They did the same thing, right? Man defense on 254 was working really well in this section of the field, right? We saw 44-14 get all of opponent side field, and 1577 would go on their side of the field. Kept the defender with them to harass 254 as well. Right. 1577 plays on this side of the field. They bring a defender with them. You know, it's like having a child follow you around, right? It's extra baggage that you have. Okay, I'm sorry for all the little children, but they just effectively created a great choke point, and 44-14 had had all this side to themselves. That's why they won, right? They won on 27-point cargo difference. Blue, why did they lose? They lost on cargo, obviously. With 1619 by themselves, having to deal with all of this, they couldn't establish good enough ball flow. It just, it's just really hard, especially when you're a robot that has to physically turn every time you want to aim. They just can't establish good ball flow while 2x4 is getting trapped. And then, so what do they need to do to adjust, right? They need to free up 2x4 and or the hanger zone. They need to find a way so the balls aren't stuck there, which means there's no need for a team like 2x4 to go there. The third one, and this is one of my favorite matches actually to see from an overall strategy perspective, putting into context like what was happening within the alliances. So they make a driver station change, right? Remember why I was circling EJ, who used to be over here? Well, he's there right now, but his team is over here. So 254 took this driver station. They used to be up here, right? 1619 254 switch, or 1619 in the middle, because they were playing, this side, this down here, so they have the best visibility. Right. I don't know why I don't just use my drawing pad. That, right? 1619 are here now, or sorry, up here now. 254 are down here, and they changed out for 3175. So this change actually was happening as the robots were literally queuing. So that's another funny tidbit, but it wasn't super planned out, but it was kind of an on the fly thing. So some of the reasons why they did that, right? 3175 just as a robot can hoard, and so that gives you 2 balls right away and defense, right? They suspected 4414 couldn't climb, which I don't think is true, but they suspected they couldn't climb, and because of the driver station change, they couldn't do a triple climb, and so triple climb anyways, and so they were like, all right, we don't necessarily need the level 4 climb that 6672 offers us, and so let's bring in 3175. And they also have a reliable fender shot in case they're down in cargo. And actually fender shot on this high level comes back to being good, because not a lot of teams are super playing from up close. Most teams are shooting from around here, right? So actually being here isn't that bad, congestion wise. Yeah, opportunistic defense, main objective is still man defense, 1577, right? So the last thing is 1577's played against 6672 for 3 matches now. They kind of know how they get defended, and it wasn't going super great. 3175 completely new, right? They don't know how, right? They know how 1577 plays, but they don't know, and 1577 doesn't know how they play. So kind of mixes things up, catches people off guard. When you only have 2 minutes and 15 seconds, having 30 seconds of confusion is huge. Yeah, okay, so 1619 takes this spot. Literally just this, right? And that's why they have this driver station, so they have the best visibility. And why did they take this driver station, or why did they take this zone? Because they want to still maintain good ball flow. Right? Yeah, they still want to maintain good ball flow, but they give 254 all of this, right? By giving 254 all of this, 254 is just the best scorer on their line, straight up, right? So you want to enable them as much as possible, and so that's what they're doing with this change, this audible as they call it. The red alliance still pretty much the same thing, still 4414 playing all the opposite side. 4099 still playing defense on 254, or are they? So that's the thing that I have right here, that win-win dilemma, right? So when you're crafting strategies, and I know Annie's good at this, but which I'm sure she'll be around when you guys watch this video, but the the thing that you want to create in a lot of strategies is win-win dilemmas, right? You want to make your opponents have to choose between two bad decisions for them. And so we saw that before with 1577, right here, right? If you leave, I get the balls. If you don't leave, you're trapped, right? Same thing with here. 1619 says, or sorry, 1619 takes 254 spot, but they're a worse scorer, but they're still, gonna be able to churn out that ball flow there. And so 499 has to decide, do we chase 254 around the entire map, right? And let them establish good ball flow, your defense is going to be less effective, or do we try to defend 1619? 254 is still going to run amok, and 1619, have a more limited operating range, and so their effect isn't, as felt, right? If they score a lot less in this zone, well, that effect is much less than if they had to deal with all of this, right? So what I mean by that is that dilemma didn't exist last time, because when 254 split the field like this and 254 were in charge of here, right? When they were getting shut down on this corner, all of these balls were getting unattended, right? Or it was harder for 1619 to attend to them just because of the way their team is set up, or the robot set up. But 254 can easily handle all of this, right? And so you kind of have to decide, okay, do we trap ourselves with 1619 here and kind of let 254 up to fate, or do we try to chase 254 around? And I explained why chasing is bad in the last video, but same thing, right? The red, so you'll kind of see they left their hanger open a little too much, because I think they expected to trap 254, but 254, they realized they were losing if they did the same thing, so they didn't. And so they kind of let 1619 have a little bit of field day in this area, and then 1577 came over here, and they got trapped in their own hanger. They hit the 254 maneuver, I'll say, and it didn't work out well. And opposite side hub, right? So then the last thing was, because they split the field kind of like this 4414 and what's it called, and 1577, when they were on the opposite side over here, there's going to be some balls over here that were left out. That's just because 1577, right, they weren't really holding up to their side of the field, so 4414 was trying to get these balls over here as well. 254 is just running amok over here. You're going to see a few balls just kind of laying around here, and that's, again, pretty bad for ball flow, especially when you have a hoarder on the opponent team, because now instead of 9 or 11 red balls, there's 9, right? So let's oops. So this is a oops, okay. So I kind of went over what you'll see, and now you'll actually see it, I guess. So 254, right? They're having a great time, right? They get this ball, they're like, oh, are they coming over there? Nope. 1619's here now, right? And actually, that's micro. But 1619 chose to shoot from there because they knew it'd be safe. But look at this, right? 1619 just having a great time over here now. They got to score what, 6 balls, 7 balls, span of like 15-20 seconds, because they could do whatever they want now. 254 just having a great time. 3175, right? Playing defense. Opportunistically defending 4414, kind of, but they're pretty much chasing. 254 is just freed up now, right? They can do whatever they want now, which is reflecting the score. On the red side, right? 499 still chasing. They're just getting played though. Like just watch 254 and how, like, yeah, okay, right now they're getting pinned, but like they have this much ready. And that's that's a mistake on 49.9's part. They should have gone to that side, but whatever. Not the time for that. But yeah, look, 1619, you know, they're still thriving. And then them not being able to score is a better trade-off than 254 not being able to score. So great audible by them. Look at that, right? 100 to 82. 22 seconds left. You're done, right? You're done. It's over. So I really like the adjustments 254 made. I think the Red Lions should have understood, like it's honestly surprising that they didn't make a change in the second match when they were getting shut down like that. Because like, okay, I know they didn't change it because they thought, okay, you know, we lost an auto, we missed a lot in auto, maybe we can just get out of, you know, just avoid it. And the second match was unlucky by the Blue Lions just because a lot of balls did end up going here. So even when 1619 kind of cleared it out at the beginning, they still had to go back and they got trapped. But I'm honestly surprised 254 got caught in that again. But honestly, great adjustment by them. I think Red should have read that an adjustment like that was going to be made and probably played heavier on this side of the field. Maybe 1577 and 49.9 on this side of the field, and then 4414 on this side of the field. I think that would have worked better, just so that you disturb 254, or even inserting 49.9 as a hybrid robot, right? Similar to how 4206 played. I think that would have worked better. But again, you know, great play by both teams. So that was it for the third video. If you didn't understand some of the concepts or thought I was going a little fast, please review stuff from video 2 and ask Annie or me questions. Yeah, so audibles was what I just talked about, is calling adjustments on the fly. Very big, very crucial, catching opponents off guard, right? Because it's a reaction game. If you're always the one behind, if you're always the one reacting instead of, you know, actively making adjustments, you're always going to be behind, right? And then finally, please be familiar with the tournament formats. Districts probably not matter as much. I only say that because I'm in Michigan right now. But regionals, how the line selection system works, elims, things like that. Just because I think the next one is going to be more about the overall tournament, kind of higher level, bigger picture stuff. And so it might be easier to understand there. But besides that, thank you so much for watching. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions. Sorry if I went fast or if the quality of the video is poor. I hope it's not. The next one should be coming relatively soon. So, alright, thank you so much.